To those who will be watching this later on via YouTube, we say Shabbat Shalom to you. Shabbat Shalom to the whole house, the whole Ba'if of Yasha'al, all 12 tribes. To the elder Ak, Yahudah. To the younger Ak, Ephraim. To the former stranger, the former Gar, the former Goyim, the former Gentile, the former nation, who is no longer a stranger, who is no longer a foreigner, who is no longer a Gar or Goyim or nation or Gentile, but having been engrafted into the Ba'if of Yasha'al, which is to say the house of Yasha'al, which is the olive tree, through the branch, through Hanatsah, who is Yahushua HaMashiach, whereby being engrafted and whereby being immersed in his Kadush name via the Makua Tabalah, whereby being impaled with him, whereby dying with him, whereby being buried with him, and whereby being resurrected with him to the newness of life, and whereby receiving his Kadush Ruach, the Ruach of adoption, the Ruach of sonship, and whereby now you are no longer a stranger or a foreigner or a Gentile or a nation, but you indeed are an adopted son or daughter, and indeed are now a fellow citizen of the house of Yasha'al, of the Ba'if of Yasha'al, and now fellow partakers of the same everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. Shabbat Shalom to you, all 12 tribes, to the four corners of the earth, and the stranger adjoined to us, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this Shabbat Yom. We wish you Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom on this Kadush Yom. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. So, Ms. Parker, we continue to walk. We continue the journey. This journey that started out perhaps 7 or 8 weeks ago with respect to the ancient path, with respect to the narrow path that leads to everlasting life. There's only one path. There's only one path that leads to everlasting life, and it is the narrow path. It is the ancient path. Indeed, this will be part 17 of this teaching. This will be part 17, and as Abba has spoken, this is probably going to take us all the way up to Sukkot and beyond Sukkot, because I don't believe he's going to stop with Abraham. He's going to continue showing us the examples of our ancient fathers with respect to how they walked the ancient path, and giving us something tangible to look at so that we can, in like manner, pattern our lives after our ancient fathers who walked the ancient path and who have received life. And who have received life. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. All of them have received life. In fact, I believe it's the 51st chapter of Ishayahu, or commonly called Isaiah, that Yahuwah admonishes us to look to the example of our father Abraham. And not only to look to the example of our father Abraham with respect to the ancient path, but to also look to the rock. Who is the rock? The rock is Yahuwah, Yahusha. Indeed, he is the ultimate example because he is the ancient path. He is, in fact, who our ancient fathers imitated. He is ultimately who they imitated because he is the ancient path. And so, in the words of John, Yahuchanan, and First John, the second chapter, or Yahuchanan, Alaf, the second chapter, he exclaims to us that we are to what? That we are to walk like the Hamashiach. If we profess him, then we are to walk even as he walked. And if we walk as he walked, guess what? He is the ultimate example in how to walk the ancient path. All of our ancient fathers walked like him. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. All of them walked like him. And we have learned over the course of these past 7 or 8 weeks that one of the characteristics of someone walking this ancient path is what? Worship. Worship. Worship and praise is one of the characteristics of someone walking the ancient path. Another one is endurance. Endurance. They all endured unto the end. They all endured unto the end. Another hallmark is patience. Another hallmark is patience, and another hallmark is obedience. Another hallmark is obedience. Another hallmark is discipline. Another hallmark is discipline. Indeed, there are many characteristics of those who are walking this narrow path, this ancient path. There are many characteristics. And over the course of the past 7 or 8 weeks, Abba has brought a lot of them to light. He's brought a lot of them to light. But as we continue on this ancient path, indeed, he shows me that with some, the words that he's spoken through the mouth of his servant, indeed, are going in one ear and out the other, because we are still not aligning ourselves with what he is trying to show us. We're still not aligning ourselves with the ancient path. If we were, indeed, if we were listening and taking to heart and taking to heed the words that Yahuwah has been speaking through his servant on more than one occasion, he is what? He has told us that one of the characteristics of someone walking this ancient path is worship. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All of them worship. All of them worship. Indeed, Yahuwah in flesh, he worshiped. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And so that shows me even in that, even in your worship or your lack thereof, that some of you are getting this and some of you are not. Some of you think that they're just words. Some of you think that it is just a game still, and that it is not something that we have to actually do. Some of you still don't get that we have to what? That we have to work out our own Yeshua with what? With reverence and trembling. Oh, some of you think that you've already made it. Some of you think that you've already made it in. And these valuable pearls of Chokmah that Yahuwah has been giving us for the past 7 to 8 weeks. For you, for some of you, they have been falling by the wayside. For some of you, they have been falling, it is fallen on stony soil. And for some of you, it is fallen amongst thorns. That's okay. That's okay, because we understand that a separation must take place. It must take place. Not all are going to be delivered. Not all are going to enter. Not all are going to go. That's fine. But what does he say? Let them grow up together. Let the wheat grow up with the tares. Let Esau grow. Let Esau struggle with Jacob in the womb until it's time for them both to be delivered. Oh yeah, some of them are going to hide up until the very end. They think they're hiding. They think they're hiding. But some of them are going to hide until the very end. Some of them are known now. Some of them are going to be known at the very end when that separation takes place. Indeed, how just as Esau and Jacob were identical twins. Yes, you heard me. Identical twins. They looked just alike. The only thing that separated them is that one was hairy and one was smooth. Other than that, they both looked exactly alike. Just like wheat and tares. They look just alike until when? Until they're full grown. When they're full grown, there's a separation made. Because with wheat, when they're full grown, they do what? They bow down. Yes, they do. Wheat, when they're full grown, when their heads are full grown, they bow down and they worship. Not so with a tare. You see, with a tare, it stands straight up in defiance. It stands straight up prideful, and it will not worship. It will not bow down. It will not open its mouth. Indeed, you think that you're hiding, but Abba sees you. He's identified you, and irrespective of all the pearls of Chokmah that he has been speaking for the past 7 to 8 weeks, you are trampling on them. You are trampling on them. And true to form, as a swine tramples on, as a swine tramples on things that are valuable. It does not care about things that are valuable. It has no concept of things that are valuable. And just like a swine, just like a filthy swine, you trample on the pearls that Abba has given you. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You see, we are known by our characteristics. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are known by our characteristics because our characteristics, they do what? They dictate our character. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And a person's character is who they truly are. A person's character is who they truly are. And so this is why great care should be taken when choosing names. Because a name dictates a person's character. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But you know, I tell you, it makes no difference to me. I'm his servant. I am his servant, and I will serve him until there's no breath left in my body. I will speak his truth until there's no breath left in my body. And I pray that I pray that when I see his face, that I'm able to hear those most coveted words. Well done, my good and my trustworthy servant. Well done, my good and my trustworthy servant. Whether they hear or whether they forbear, I'm going to speak his truth. I'm going to speak, thus says Yahuwah. Whether they hear or whether they forbear, whether they align themselves with the ancient path, whether they align themselves with his word or whether they do not, I'm going to serve him. Indeed, as for me and my house, we're going to serve Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. It's up to you. It's up to you. It makes no difference to me. I'm just a servant. I just do what I'm told to do. I'm just a servant. That's all I am. Nothing more, nothing less. Whether you hear or whether you forbear, it has nothing to do with me. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. I'm just a servant. Nothing more, nothing less. So for those of you who are listening, and for those of you who are applying these words to your life, so that you are indeed walking the ancient path, let us continue now on this ancient path, searching for the ancient path, on this ancient journey. And let us continue on this path, looking at the example of our righteous father Abraham. Looking at the example of our righteous father Abraham through the lenses and through the testimony of the book commonly called Jubilees, but more properly and accurately called Yubilim. Yubilim. We left off last Shabbat in chapter 18. We'll begin this Shabbat in chapter 19 of the book of Jubilees, looking at the example of our righteous father, Abraham. And our Abba, I pray that we're all found worthy. I pray that we're all found worthy. That we're all found well-doing. Well-doing, Abba. We get weary, Abba. We get weary sometimes. We get tired. Give us strength to endure. Give us strength to continue on this narrow path. Give your servant strength this day to speak, thus says Yahuwah. Help me to go beyond my flesh. To speak via your Ruach, Abba. To speak via your Ruach. Because in my weakness, you are strong. When I'm weak, you are strong. So I do not trust my flesh. I do not trust it. I do not lean on it. I lean and depend on you this yom. I lean and depend on your Ruach and on your strength. Speak through your servant, Abba. Let your servant speak no falsehood. Let not your servant speak his own words. Let your words flow from my lips. Let them cut. Let them convict. Let them cut and convict, and let them expose shame. Let them expose nakedness, such as to cut to the very heart of man, to cut through bone and marrow, to cut through clothing so as to expose nakedness and shame, so as to cause your people to fall before your feet, the place where there is covering for their nakedness, the place where there is forgiveness for their crimes. Let not a single word spoken through the mouth of your servant this yom fall void to the ground, but let it accomplish that which you have sent it forth to do. In the righteous name of Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it, so be it, so be it. So now, beginning in part 19 of chapter 19 of the book of Jubilees, let's continue this walk. Let's continue this journey of the ancient path, looking at the example of our righteous father Abraham. Beginning at verse 1, it reads, "And in the first year of the first week of the 42nd Yubel, which is to say Jubilee, Abraham returned and dwelt opposite Cabron, that is Kiryat Arba, 2 weeks of years. And in the first year of the 3rd week of the Yubal, which is to say Jubilee, the days of the life of Sarah were accomplished, and she died in Cabron. And Abraham went to mourn over her and bury her. And we tried him to see if his Ruach were patient. And we tried him to see if his Ruach were patient. And he were not indignant in the words of his mouth. And he was found patient in this, and was not disturbed. And he was found patient in this, and was not disturbed." Verse 4, "For in patience of the Ruach he conversed with the children of Kaf, to the intent that they should give him a place in which to bury his dead." And so here, looking at the example of our righteous father Abraham, what do we see? We see the fruit of the Ruach. We see the fruit of the Ruach. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We see someone who was walking the ancient path. Indeed, over the course of the past 7 to 8 weeks, Abba has shown us that we cannot walk this ancient path without having his Ruach indwelling in us. And if we have his Ruach indwelling in us, what does that mean? It means that we should display the fruit of the Ruach. And so here, Abraham has been tried severely. Indeed, if you're walking the ancient path, you're going to be tried. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. If you don't want to be tried, go back to Christianity or to some other religion. But if you walk the ancient path, you're going to be tried. Here he just lost his Aisha. And he loved Sarah deeply. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He loved her. But in this trial, he was what? He was found patient in Ruach. He was found to be patient in Ruach. And so even in our testing, we must be found to be patient if indeed you are walking the ancient path, and if indeed you have the Ruach, and if you have his Ruach, there ought to be some fruit. Yes, they are. Yes, there should. There ought to be some fruit. Indeed, if you don't understand by now, the fruit of the Ruach is what? Is the ancient path. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Indeed. And the fruit of the Ruach is what? Is love. Abram operated in love. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Patience. Abram operated in patience. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Kindness. Abram was perhaps the most kind man of his generation. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And all who walk the ancient path walk this way. Walk in the fruit of the Ruach. Goodness. Yes, he was a good man. He was upright and good to all men. Abram was good and kind to all men. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. All our ancient fathers, all our ancient righteous fathers walked in the same way. He had self-control. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He had self-control. Listen, if you can't control that wicked flesh of yours, you're not walking the ancient path. And don't think you hiding. Don't think Abba does not see you. He sees you. He sees you. Do not think he does not see you. Self-control. If you do not have self-control, if you cannot control that wicked flesh, you're not walking in the Ruach, and you're not on the ancient path. Now, don't fool yourself. Don't deceive yourself. He sees you. Yes, he does. He sees you. He sees you. And don't use the excuse. He came to us last week. Don't use the excuse. Oh, and act like a Christian, with the words, oh, he knows my heart. Oh, I'm a work in progress. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. A good tree does not produce wicked fruit. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. A good tree does not produce wicked fruit. A good tree produces what? The fruit of the Ruach. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It produces the fruit of the Ruach. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Quit fooling yourself. Quit fooling yourself and either align yourself with this ancient path or get off of it. That's your choice. But don't think you're fooling anyone. Either align yourself with the ancient path or get off of it. That's what you do. That's what you do. Don't think that you're hiding. Do not think that you're hiding. Self-control. And so if you can't control that wicked flesh of yours, don't say you're on this ancient path, because you're not. You're not. We saw an example of it earlier today of someone who said, oh, praise Abba that he's shown me the ancient path and brought me back to the ancient path. Oh, this people worship me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. You see, you can only go so long before your heart finds you out. Oh, yes. You can only go so long before your heart finds you out. Because why? Because a good tree cannot produce wicked fruit. And a wicked tree cannot produce good fruit. It can't. It cannot. Sooner or later, your heart is going to find you out. Why your heart? Because from your heart is where the fruit proceeds. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's not what goes into a man or a woman that defiles them, but what comes out of them. We're not talking about food, because food does what? It goes into us and goes out into the latrine. It goes into the sewer. We're talking about crime. We're talking about fruit. We're talking about fruit. Good fruit proceeds from the heart, and wicked fruit proceeds from the heart. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Good fruit proceeds from the heart, and wicked fruit proceeds from the heart. Trustworthiness. Trustworthiness. Oh, can you see it coming to life? Can you see the example of Abram coming to life? Do you see the fruit of the Ruach in Abram? This is the ancient path. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is the ancient path. How so? Because Yahuwah is the ancient path. He is the Ruach. He is the fruit of the Ruach. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And if you don't display this fruit, you're not on the ancient path. No, you're not. No, you're not. Again, a good tree cannot produce wicked fruit. It can't. Because why? In accordance with the words of John and YAHUAH'S, because his seed stays in us. Because his fruit stays in us. Because the Ruach stays in us. And in his words, we are powerless to commit crime. Yes, we are. Yes, we are powerless. Don't deceive yourself. Don't deceive yourself. See, some of you have forgotten that already. Some of you have forgotten that already and thought that you could sneak in the door. Some of you have forgotten already that one of the characteristics of someone walking the ancient path is worship and praise. You have forgotten already because it went in one ear and out the other. You ain't really listening. You just think that you can just associate with his people and that you can make it in. That you can just do the bare minimum and make it in. Oh, you've been highly deceived. You've been deceived by the deceiver. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. You have been deceived by the deceiver. This way is narrow and this way is hard. And there are few who find it. Yes, there are. Yes, there are. Gladness. Gladness. Abram was always glad. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was always glad. Gentleness. Gentleness. What does gentleness translate to? Gentleness translates to humility. Gentleness translates to meekness. Yes, it does. Go ahead and do a Google search and type in gentleness and look at some synonyms. It does. Gentleness means meekness and humility. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Abram was very meek, very humble, very gentle. Some of you are still puffed up. You're very puffed up. Some of you won't even receive instructions. We saw that this morning. Oh, you speak with your mouth that you receive instruction, but then you go behind closed doors and you do the exact opposite of what your wicked tongue has spoken. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You do. And Abba sees you. He sees you. He sees your wicked fruit. He sees your wicked works. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. You reject the words that are coming from his servant, not understanding that the words that are coming from his servant are his words. Oh, you look at the package. Yes, you do. That's your first mistake. You look at the package. You look at his small stature. You look at the weakness of his flesh, and you make a mistake of thinking that the words that he speaks are the words of his Father. And so you disregard and you discount those words, not understanding when you do that, you're not discounting the words of the servant, you're discounting Yahuwah himself. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're not fooling anyone. You're not fooling anyone. And more importantly, you're not fooling him. And shalom. And shalom. Abram displayed all this fruit. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And if you look at all of our righteous fathers that went before him, they all displayed this self-same fruit. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And if we do not display this self-same fruit, we too are not in the ancient path. Verse 5. And Yahuwah gave him favor before all who saw him. And Yahuwah gave him favor before all who saw him. Somebody do me a favor now and turn to Shamut, that is commonly called Exodus, the 20th chapter, and read verses 5 and 6 for me, please. Right now. And read it out loud. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Come on. Come on. You've been reading the scriptures long enough to Exodus is the second book. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's the one after Exodus. It's the one. Come on.
Nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah,
Start over. Verse 5 and 6. Exodus chapter 20, verse 5 and 6. And read it loud.
You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah your Elohim, am a jealous old, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
But
showing compassion.
But showing favor. But showing favor. But showing kasad, favor, compassion, pity. To who?
Unto thousands of them that love me and guard my Tarut.
Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. And so Yahuwah gave him favor. Why? Because he obeyed him and guarded his Torah. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He didn't turn to the right or to the left of this ancient path. And Yahuwah gave him favor before all. Here is another characteristic. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. If you're walking the ancient path, which means to say that you're not turning to the right or to the left of it, that you're obeying every word that proceeds from his mouth, then favor ought to follow you. It's written. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's written. And the fruit of the Ruach ought to be evident in your life. Yes, it should. Yes, it should. And Yahuwah gave him favor before all who saw him. And he besought in gentleness. Did Abba just not say that Abba was gentle? That he was gentle? That he displayed the fruit of the Ruach? Yes, he did. He spoke through his servant not even 5 minutes ago and told you that. And if you don't have this fruit, you're not walking in the fruit of the Ruach. You're not on this ancient path. No, you're not. Don't fool yourselves. Don't fool yourselves. And if you are disobedient, and not just obedient before the faces of men, but obedient when men do not see you to speak. See, that's your character. That's the test of your true character. If you obey Father, if you obey Yahuwah, even when others are not looking, that's the true test of your character. But some of you sneaky. Some of you very sneaky. You think you're sneaky. Some of you are very sneaky. Your works are sneaky. And he sees you. He sees you. He sees you. And your character is rotten. Your character is rotten. And if you don't tashuba, you ain't coming. You're not coming. No, you're not. You're not coming. Oh, you think this is a game, do you? You think the ancient path is optional, do you? Oh, you're deceived. You're deceived. You're deceived by the deceiver. And as long as you deceive, being deceived by him, guess what? He is your father. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He is your master. Keep letting him deceive you. As long as he is deceiving you, he is your master. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he besought in gentleness the sons of Koth, and they gave him the land of the double cave over against Mamre, that is Cabron, for 400 pieces of silver. Gentleness, meekness, and humbleness. This is the fruit of the Ruach. This is the ancient path. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Verse 6. And they besought him, saying, we shall give it to you for nothing. But he would not take it from their hands for nothing. For he gave the price of the place, the money in full. And listen, what did he do? He bowed down before them twice. He bowed down before them twice. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Do you understand, Mashpaka, that this is what Baruch means? That this is what Baruch means? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Baruch means to what? To kneel down. Go look it up. I'll wait if somebody wants to look it up. Baruch means to kneel down. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And so when we Baruch Yahuwah, how do we Baruch Yahuwah when he has everything? We kneel down before him. We kneel down before him. And so when Yahuwah says, I will Baruch those who Baruch you and curse those who curse you. So what does that mean? That means that through Yasha'al, what is he doing? He is restoring the rulership and the reign of the Arats. Yes, he is. He is going to give those who overcome what? Crowns. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's going to give those who overcome what? A scepter. A Shabbat. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. To rule the earth with a rod, with a Shabbat of iron. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And for those who Baruch us, he is going to Baruch them. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But for those who do not Baruch us, what is he going to do? He is not going to Baruch them. They're not going to enter into life. No, they're not. No, they're not. What does he say in Revelation 2 and 9 and Revelation 3 and 9, my brother? What does he say? Go ahead and read it. Revelation 2 and 9 and Revelation 3 and 9. You see, while he's looking for that, you see, Abba does not tell us to do something that he does not do himself. Oh, you need to wrap your mind around your father and the nature and character of your father, who washed the feet of his taught ones and dried it with his skirt. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You need to learn the nature and character of your father, who humbles himself to receive the praises of messengers and to receive the things of the Arats. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. This is gentleness. This is meekness. This is what it means to Baruch. It means to kneel down. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And we find this with Abram displaying the fruit of the Ruach. Yes, we do. Go ahead and read, my brother.
Revelation 2 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
I know your works in tribulation, in poverty, but you are rich. And I know the blasphemy of them who say that they are YAHUAH'S and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
Revelation 3:9.
Revelation 3 and 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Yahudim and are not.
Do what?
But do lie. Behold, I will make them come.
What?
And worship before your feet. And to know that I have loved you.
What translation are you reading?
That's the Sefer.
That's the Sefer. Read it from the Scriptures translation.
I don't have that on here.
Somebody read that Revelation 3:9 from the Scriptures translation. And someone else read that from the KJV. Same one. Revelation 3:9.
Yes,
Go ahead.
See, I am giving up those of the congregation of Satan, who say they are Yahudim and are not, but lie. See, I am making them come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you.
What translation is that?
That's TS 2009.
Okay, somebody read it from the KJV.
Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
Worship before your feet. So I thought that was a translation that said bow, but this is what it means. This is what it means to bow, to Baruch before their feet, to worship before the feet of his true people, Indeed, those that do this, those that will humble themselves and bow before the feet of his people, he is going to Baruch them. He's going to Baruch them. He's going to Baruch those that do that. And so we must have these very same characteristics. We must have these very same characteristics. We must be willing to humble ourselves. We must too be willing to humble ourselves like our Father humbles himself real time. Real time. We must be willing to humble ourselves like our Father humbles himself real time. And like he showed us via real time example in the person of Yahushua HaMashiach. This is the ancient path. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is the ancient path. And they besought him, saying, we shall give it to you for nothing. But he would not take it from their hands for nothing. For he gave the price of the place, the money, in full. And he bowed down, he barak, before them twice. After this, he buried his dead in the double cave. And so we see here another example of meekness, which is gentleness, which is the fruit of the Ruach, which is the ancient path, which is the ancient path. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. When we get to Yaqub, you're going to see this very same fruit. When we get to Itzchak, you're going to see this very same fruit. If he allows us to look at Yahusha, which we have already looked at Yahusha, you're going to see this very same fruit. Whomever he shows us, whichever ancient father that he shows us from this time forward, you're going to see this very same fruit. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And if you don't have that fruit, the fruit of the Ruach, one, you see, the Christian church, you know, they will lie and say that the evidence of having a Ruach HaKadosh is speaking in tongue. They're a liar. They are a liar just like their father. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Because tongues is a gift. And not everyone has the gift of tongues. Not everyone has it. It is something that has to be asked for and sought. Not everyone has the gift of tongues. The true characteristics of someone having a Ruach HaKadosh is the fruit of the Ruach. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because you know what? Devils speak in tongues. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Go look at the Christian church. Devils speak in tongues. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. The true test of someone having a Ruach HaKadosh is the fruit of the Ruach. It's the ancient path. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Verse 7. And all the days of the life of Shorah were 127 years. That is 2 jubilees and 4 weeks and 1 year. These are the days of the years of the life of Shorah. This is the 10th trial wherewith Abraham was tried. And he was found what? Trustworthy. Trustworthy. And he was found trustworthy, patient in the Ruach. Patient in the Ruach. So he was found trustworthy and patient. Listen, Mishpaka, listen here. If you're not walking the ancient path, you will not hear the words, "Well done, my good and trustworthy servant." No, you won't. No, you won't. If you are not walking this ancient path, you are not, none of us are going to hear the words, "Well done, my good and trustworthy servant." And so this was the 10th trial wherewith Abraham was tried. And he was found trustworthy, unflinching, immovable. This is what it means. This is what it means. It means not to turn to the right or to the left. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And patient in the Ruach. Why do you think we have the example of Ayub? Why do you think we have this example? He was a righteous father. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Was he not found trustworthy and patient in Ruach? Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was. All of these righteous examples of walking the ancient path, of walking in the fruit of the Ruach. He is showing us, if you got eyes to see, if you have eyes to see. Baruch YAHUAH. Baruch YAHUAH. And so he was tried and he was found faithful. He was found trustworthy, rather. Trustworthy. Well done, my good and my trustworthy servant. He was found trustworthy and patient in Ruach. Indeed, this is the fruit of the Ruach. Trustworthiness and patience is the fruit of the Ruach. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And this is the ancient path. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And he said not a single word regarding the rumor in the land, how that Elohim had said that he would give it to him and his seed after him. This is meekness. This is meekness. He didn't go around bragging or boasting about what YAHUAH had done for him, about what YAHUAH had promised him. He was meek. He was humble. He was a meek and humble man. The fruit of the Ruach, the ancient path. And so he didn't say, he said not a single word regarding the rumor in the land, how that Elohim has said that he would give it to him and to his seed after him. And so he knew that YAHUAH had given him that land. He knew it. But in meekness and in humility, he bowed down before those people and he bought that cave, even though it belonged to him. Even though Abba had given it to him. He humbled himself in gentleness, in meekness, and in patience before these people. And he bought what already belonged to him. Did not Abba purchase what already belonged to him with his very own blood? Did he not purchase what already belonged to him with his very own dam? Do you see the ancient path? Do you see the humility? He purchased us even though we already belong to him. Humility, meekness, and patience. And he did it, and doing it, he not only showed us the ancient path, he showed us meekness, and he showed us humility, but he also showed us trustworthiness. He also showed us uprightness in character. Uprightness of character. He showed us, what do you mean, teacher? He showed us how to be people of our word. If we speak a word, if we give an oath, he showed us in his example how to honor that which we have spoken. What do you mean, teacher? Did he not say, but by the shedding of blood, there is no remission of crime? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And so in honoring the word that he spoke, he shed his dam for us. He shed his dam And he purchased in uprightness of character, honoring his word. He purchased that which already belonged to him. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Verse 9. And he said not a single word regarding the rumor in the land, how that Elohim had said that he would give it to him and his seed after him. And he begged, and he begged, and he begged. Somebody now go for me to Matthew, the 1st chapter, and begin at verse 1 and just read. Just read now until I tell you to stop. Begin at verse 1. Begin at verse 1.
The book of the genealogy of Yahushua.
No. Matthew chapter 5, beginning at verse 1. Matthew chapter 5, beginning at verse 1.
But when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountain. And when he was seated, his taught ones came to him.
Mm-hmm.
And having opened his mouth, he was teaching them, saying, Baruch are the poor in Ruach.
What?
Baruch are the poor in Ruach.
For what?
Because theirs is the reign of the Shamayim.
Oh, I wish somebody right now, if you have access to Strong's, to go and look at that Greek word for poor and read the definition. Somebody, please. I know somebody has access to the Strong's right now. Go ahead and click on the word poor and give us the Greek word and give us the definition. Come on, I know what it means, but I want you to read it out loud.
It's G4434.
Uh-huh.
Patokos.
Come on. Read.
It says to crouch, akin to G4422. It's a beggar.
What?
Cringing.
What?
A beggar.
Huh?
A beggar.
A beggar. A beggar. A beggar. It means to humble yourself to the state of being reduced to begging. Poor. Poor. To be reduced to the state of begging. What did Abram say? Now read that again. Read that again. Read it again. Read that verse again. What does it say?
Baruch are the poor in Ruach.
Uh-huh.
Because theirs is the reign of the Shamayim.
For theirs is the reign of the Shamayim. For theirs is the reign of Shamayim. Do you see it? Do you see this ancient path? Meekness, humility, bowing yourself down, Baruch, bowing yourself down to a state of being poor in spirit, akin to being a beggar, akin to being humbled and afflicted. See, now Abba is speaking through his servant now in preparation and preparing us for what? For Yom Kippur. Yes, he is. Because this is what he seeks. To be reduced to a state like this. Begging, humble. The Abarit word is anah. Anah. And anan. And anin. And ani. All mean to be afflicted and poor in spirit. To be humbled to the state of begging. This is what he's seeking on Yom Kippur. And this is one of the characteristics of someone walking this ancient path. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Not being proud. And these are those. Such are these is what? Is the reign of the Shamayim. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I want you to keep reading. I want you to read something else. Keep reading that. Go ahead.
Baruch are those who mourn.
Uh-huh. Wait, stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. Where we at? 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 Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Verse 3. And Abram went to mourn over her and bury her. And Abram went to mourn over her and bury her. Abram even mourned with others. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He even mourned with those who mourn Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Are we not to mourn with those who mourn? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. This is the ancient path. Continue, Art. Continue.
Baruch are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. Baruch are the meek. Actually,
that word there is more closer to the Abraite word ashar, which means to be glad, which more accurately translates into glad. The word glad.
Baruch are those who
glad,
mourn,
glad.
because those shall be glad.
No, glad are those who mourn.
Oh, glad are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted.
Right.
Baruch are the meek.
Glad are the meek.
Glad are the meek.
Glad are the who?
Are the meek.
Glad are the who?
Meek.
Who are the meek? The humble, the meek, the poor in spirit, the afflicted, the ana, the anim, the anan, the ani, the afflicted, the poor in spirit. These are the meek. Because what? Come on.
Because they shall inherit the Yarats.
Because they shall inherit the Yarats. Now, do you not understand that the promise that was given to Adam and the inheritance that was given to Adam, which is what? Which is the earth. The inheritance is passed down through firstborn sons. That very same inheritance that the father gave to his firstborn has been passed down through firstborn sons. And it was given to Abraham and to his seed. Because the seed of Abraham are the seed of Adam. And we will inherit the earth if we walk the ancient path like our ancient fathers and display this characteristic. If many of you have not read the forgotten books of Adam and Kua, I encourage you to read it. Because when you read it, what you're going to find is in Adam a person who was so meek and humble, he was childlike. He was like a little child. And Abba loved him so much. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He was so tender with him. So tender. He loved him very much. Loved him very much. And these very same childlike characteristics exist in those who are walking the ancient path. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it is these, Mashpaka. It is these, the firstborn sons, who have the character of their father. What do you mean? The firstborn is given the inheritance because, one, he is the beginning of his father's strength. And two, he is the one that what? That looks most like his father. That acts most like his father. That talks most like his father. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he is what? To get a double portion of the inheritance of his father. A double portion. Yes. A double portion. Ephraim meaning doubly fruitful. Ephraim carrying the name of his grandfather Yahshua. A double portion, being doubly fruitful. Yes, being doubly fruitful. What do you mean being doubly fruitful? Not only are we going to get the land back of our fathers, the land of Yahshua, but at the restoration of all things, we're going to get the earth too. A double portion. A double portion to the firstborn. To the firstborn. Those that have the character and nature of their father, who look like their father, who speak like their father, who walk like their father, who walk the ancient path as their father is the ancient path, and has the character and nature of their father. I'm going to read his character and nature once again to you if you missed it. I'm going to read his character and nature to you again. Love, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control, trustworthiness, gladness, gentleness, and shalom. This is his very nature and his very character. And his sons and his daughters walking the ancient path have this very same characteristic, because it's one characteristic, because he is one. He's not many. He is one. And this is why it says the fruit of the Ruach and not the fruits of the Ruach. He is one. And his character is one. His nature is one. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And his sons and his daughters who have been born from his loins, who look like him, who speak like him, who walk like him in the same ancient path, we will operate the same way in which our ancient fathers acted and walked and talked and looked like. We will look the same way. And we in turn will, by extension, look and mirror the ancient path that Yahushua HaMashiach himself walked, demonstrating to us how to walk this ancient path. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. Philippians 2, please. Somebody read Philippians 2. Philippians 2. Philippians 2. Read Philippians 2. Come on. Come on. Philippians 2.
Philippians 2. I'm sorry for that. Thought I had it. Got it. If there be, therefore, any consolation in Mashiach, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Ruach, if any affection and mercy, fulfill my joy, that ye may be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord and of one mind. That nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, that each esteem other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you.
What?
Let this mind be in you.
What?
Let this mind be in you.
What mind is he talking about? What mind? The mind of Yahuwah. The mind of Yahuwah. What is the mind of Yahuwah? Torah. The ancient path. This is the mind of Yahuwah. What is Torah? What is the ancient path? Gentleness, meekness, trustworthiness, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control, trustworthiness, gladness, gentleness, and shalom. This is the mind of Yahuwah. This is the mind of Yahuwah. This is the ancient path. This is Torah. This is Torah, which all boils down to one word: humility, meekness, humility. This all wraps up into one word: meekness and humility. Walking this ancient path. Come on, keep reading, and let's look at this ancient path through the eyes of the Hamashiach now, just briefly. Read.
Let this mind be in you, which was also in Mashiach Yahushua, who being in the form,
the living Torah. Torah made flesh. Come on.
Yes. Being in the form of Yah, thought it not robbery to be equal with Yahuwah, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him.
He did what? What do you mean? No reputation? As great as he was, he didn't seek no reputation for himself. He didn't seek to be well known. He wasn't seeking no platform. Is that what he's saying, brother?
Same.
Come on.
But made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant.
Of what? Wait a minute. Yahuwah himself made himself a what?
A servant.
Oh, why do you think that you don't have to be a servant? See this ancient path, listen, Mashpaka. See this ancient path, see, this is the servant's entrance. See, this is the servant's robe. See, it ain't popular. See, this is the service interest, your interest. You know, back in the day, back in Jim Crow, you see, the service interest was the back way. Yes, it was. It was the back door. See, the servants couldn't go in through the front door. See, they went in through the back door. What is the son of, what did Yahushua say? He said, birds have nests and foxes have holes, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. You see, this is the servant's road. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is the servant's road. But see, some of you too puffed up. Some of you too puffed up and blind that you can't see it. You think you're a servant. You think you're a servant. No. No. You're deceiving yourselves. You're deceiving yourselves. Keep reading.
Okay. But made himself of no reputation and took upon him the form of a servant and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in the fashion as a man, he humbled himself.
He did what?
He humbled himself.
Say it again, one more time.
He humbled himself.
Oh, the ancient path. Come on.
And became obedient unto death.
Whoa, he did what?
He became obedient unto death.
Obedient unto death. Mishpaka, this is the ancient path. Obedience. Not turning to the right or to the left. Meekness, humility, just like we're reading in the example of Abraham. Stop, put your finger right there. Put your finger right there. We're gonna come back to that. Somebody, while he's got his finger on that, read Matat Yahu, beginning at the first chapter of Matthew. Begin reading. First chapter of Matthew. Begin reading at verse 1.
The book of the genealogy of Yahusha, the anointed one, son of Dawood, son of Abraham.
Son of who?
Dawood.
No, I want the other one. Yeah, he's the son of Dawood, but who else?
Son of Abraham.
Abraham. And he walked like his father in the flesh. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You see, a firstborn son who looks like his father, who talks like his father, and acts like his father, will walk just like his father. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Come on. Now finish reading Philippians 2.
And being found in the fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death. Even the death of the tree.
Humbled himself, even to step death on the stake in obedience. He neither turned to the right or to the left of this ancient path, just like Abraham, even until death. Even unto death. And this is required and expected of us if you expect to hear the words, well done, my good and trustworthy servant. Well done, my good and trustworthy servant. Continue on. Even to death on the stake. Keep reading.
Even to death on the stake. Wherefore, Yahuwah has highly exalted him. Have highly
exalted him. This is the way to being restored to our former state of being rulers. That is to be servants. That is to walk this ancient path, this narrow path that leads to everlasting life, that leads to being exalted. The only way to be exalted is to walk the servant's way, the servant's path that leads to everlasting life. And therefore, as Yahusha walked the ancient path, the servant's path, and showed us the way, and in walking the servant's path, he was what? He was highly exalted. If you expect to be exalted, we must now walk the lowly servant's path, the narrow path, the ancient path that leads to everlasting life, that leads to us being exalted, that leads to us receiving our crowns. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. This is Torah. This is the ancient path. This is Yahuwah. This is Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. You can stop. Actually, go ahead and read. Therefore, he is giving him a name above every name. Read that, and then you can stop there.
Wherefore Yahuwah also has highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Yahusha all things in earth and things under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Yahuwah is Yahusha HaMashiach,
Baruch
the glory of Yahuwah Yahweh, the Father.
Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Now wait a minute now. If Yahusha is Yahuwah, then, and he is, then that means that everything already belongs to him. Everything was already under his feet. He made it. He made it. And so if something was being restored to him, was it in fact being restored to him, or was it being restored to his son, whom he came to represent? Because indeed, if you read the forgotten books of Kua, it says at first the messengers, they feared him. Are not the messengers in Shamayim? At first they feared him. Was not the earth given to his son Adam until it was taken away and stolen away from him via Hashatan? So now through the Sheddam of Yahusha, it's being restored. It has been restored. It has been restored. And our only way, and the only way back to being restored, is to walk the very same servant's path that he walked, which is the ancient path, and the very same servant's path, a servant's road that Abraham walked, and that Yitzchak walked, and that Yaqub walked, and that Kanuk walked. Indeed, Kanuk walked it for 365 years. All the days of his life, he walked this ancient path. He walked humbly before his Elohim. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. This is the ancient path. This is the ancient path. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Verse 9. Verse 9. And he said not a single word regarding the rumor in the land, how that Elohim had said that he would give it to him and to his seed after him. And he begged the place there to bury his dead. For he was found trustworthy. For he was found trustworthy. For he was found trustworthy, immovable, and immovable, firmly fixed on the ancient path. And because of this, was recorded on the heavenly tablets as the friend of Elohim. As the friend of Elohim. Do you want to be called his friend? Do you think that that's just limited to Abraham? Did he not say to his taught ones, I no longer call you servants, but friends? Did he not say that?
Yes.
He said it. He said it. Yes, he did. Because if you can see them, and if you can understand, they too walked the ancient path. Yes, they did. Because Yahusha taught it to them. He taught it to them. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And so the way to being called his friend is via walking the ancient path. I don't know about you, but I want to be called his friend. I want to be called his friend. I want to be found trustworthy. I want to hear those words, well done, my good and my trustworthy servant. I want to hear them with all that is in me. With all that is in me, I want to hear them. With all that is in me, I want to see my Father. With all that is in me. With all that is in me, with all my heart, with all of my mind, and with all of my strength. And so the fruit of the Ruach, gentleness, meekness, and trustworthiness. The fruit of the Ruach, gentleness and meekness and trustworthiness, is what Abram showed here, and he was called a friend of Elohim. Indeed, in the 18th Tahalim, the 18th Psalm, the 25th verse, it reads here, with the trustworthy, you show yourself trustworthy. With the perfect one, you show yourself perfect. This was Abram. This was Abram. This was the ancient path. This is what Yahusha demonstrated. This is what all of our ancient fathers demonstrated. Verse 10. And in the 4th year thereof, he took a woman for his son, Ichkak, and her name was Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nachor, the brother of Abraham, the sister of Laban, and daughter of Bethuel. And Bethuel was the son of Milcah, who was the woman of Nachor, the brother of Abraham. And Abraham took to himself a 3rd woman, and her name was Keturah, from among the daughters of his household servants, for Hagar had died before Sarah. And she bore him 6 sons, Zimran, and Yukshan, and Madan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shuach, in 2 weeks of years. And in the 6th week, in the 2nd year thereof, Rebekah bore to Ishkak 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. Listen here. Listen. And Jacob was a smooth and upright man. Upright man. Indeed, he will withhold no good thing, no good manner to them who walk upright before him. You see, Jacob was like his father, Ishkak, who was like his father, Abraham, who was like his righteous fathers, Noah and Shem and Abba, who were like their righteous fathers, Methuselah and Kanuk and Yarad and Kainan and Canaan and Self, Ashaph, Habal, and Adam, and Yahuwah himself. Yahuwah himself. All of his righteous sons, all of the righteous firstborn sons of Yahuwah walk like him. All of his firstborn sons walk like him. And indeed, Ishkak now, we see here, and we're not going to touch Ishkak yet, but we're going to, Yahuwah willing. We see here now, Ishkak having these very same characteristics of walking this ancient path. He was an upright man. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was an upright man. And Esau was he was fierce. He was not a man of shalom. He was not a man of shalom. He was not a man of peace. He was not a man of the ancient path. Indeed, he cared nothing for the ancient path. He cared nothing for Torah. He cared nothing for it on the ways of Yahuwah. Esau was fierce, a man of the field, and harried. And Jacob dwelt in tents. And the youths grew, and Jacob learned to write. But Esau did not learn, for he was a man of the field, and a hunter, and learned war, and all his deeds were fierce. Indeed. You don't have to be necessarily a man of the field in terms of hunting or a woman of the field. But if your anger is fierce, if you cannot control your anger, indeed, what is the fruit of the Ruach? Self-control. Self-control. If you can't control your anger, you are seed of Esau. You are Esau. And you are impersonating Jacob. You are merely impersonating him. You are merely impersonating him. You're not Jacob. You have no self-control. You're not showing the fruit of the Ruach. You are seed of Esau. But Abba is compassionate. And Esau can even repent. This is why he's letting you grow up amongst us. Because he's patient and kind. And he wants you to repent. He desires for none to perish. Oh, if you could understand his loving commitment and his love and compassion towards his children. Not wanting any of us to perish. This is why he gives you hard words. This is why he gives you these words. So that you would align yourselves with these words. And come back to the ancient path. Teshuvah, and come back to the ancient path. Baruch Yahuwah. And so we can see this fierce anger among some who say that they are Yahudim and are not, because they are operating. They are operating in the direct opposite. They are operating in a contrary character of someone who is truly a seed of Yaqub. You cannot be a seed of Yaqub and operate in a fierce anger. No, you can't. No, you can't. The text that I read tells me that Yahuwah is love. He is love. Can he get angry? Yes, he has a righteous anger. Yes, he does. I have a righteous anger. We ain't called to be sissies. We're not called to be effeminate. But we're called, if we get angry, to have a righteous anger. And to not what? Not let the sun go down on our wrath. This is the ancient path. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because Abba is quick to forgive. He is quick to forgive. His wrath does not last long. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. He is quick to forgive. But if someone is operating in fierce anger like I saw, this is not fruit. This is not the character of someone walking the ancient path. And this is not the character of a firstborn son. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Verse 14 again. And the youths grew, and Yaqub learned to write, and Esau did not learn, for he was a man of the field and a hunter, and learned war, and learned war. Indeed, many of those who say they are Yahudim and are not, they may even look like us. Yes, they do, because Esau and Jacob are identical twins. They look just like us. They may look like us, but they spend most of their time, most of their days warring against us. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Because as it is written, as him who was born according to the flesh, then persecuted him who was born according to the Ruach, so do they do us. So as to us. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So they spend most of their waking moments warring against us, talking about there is no such thing as the New Testament, talking about there is no such thing as the Messiah. He has not come. Just warring against us with foolishness, about foolishness, and warring against his servants, not having the discernment to understand that he speaks through his servants. And in speaking through his servants, they're not the words of a man. They're his words. They're his words. But you rather war. You rather rebel. You rather war and persecute. Thus showing your fruit. Thus showing your heart. Thus showing that you are Esau. And you are not Yaqub. No, you're not. No, you're not. And thus showing that you are, and thus showing that you are a seed of the wicked one. You are a seed of the devil. Yes, you are. As written in Matthew the 13th chapter. Yes, you are the darnel. You are the darnel. You are the tare that was planted amongst the wheat. You are Esau. You are a seed of the devil. You are a seed of the wicked one. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Because you're displaying his characteristics. He was a murderer from the very beginning. He was warlike from the very beginning. He was a liar from the very beginning. Yes, he was. And so are his children. So are his children who operate in the flesh, because the flesh belongs to him. It is his. It belongs to him. And the youths grew, and Yaqub learned to write, and Esau did not learn. For he was a man of the field and a hunter, and he learned war, and all his deeds were fierce. And Abraham loved Yaqub. And Abraham loved Yaqub. Why did he love Yaqub? Because Yaqub was like him. Yaqub was like him. Yaqub looked like him. Yaqub walked like him. Yaqub talked like him. Yes. Yaqub was the one in which the everlasting covenant was going to be renewed with. Indeed, the everlasting covenant is always renewed with firstborn sons. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is only renewed with firstborn sons. This is why Yahuwah came as firstborn in the person of Yahusha. So that why? So that the everlasting covenant could be renewed in him. And the everlasting covenant is still only renewed in firstborn sons. It is renewed in us when he comes and enters us via his Ruach and circumcises our hearts. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So it is only renewed in firstborn sons, those who have his nature and his character and his essence. They look like him. They talk like him. They walk like him. They act like him. Baruch Yahuwah. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And Abraham loved Jacob, but Ishak loved Esau. And Abraham saw the deeds of Esau, and he knew that in Jacob should his name and seed be called. What does he mean? What does he mean? He knew that Jacob was going to walk this narrow path, this ancient path, was going to walk upright before his Elohim, just like he did. Just like he did. Just like the way in which was established to him, which was taught to him via his righteous fathers. He knew that Jacob would walk this very same path, and he knew that Jacob would teach his sons to walk this very same path. But he knew that Esau would not. That Esau would teach his sons treachery. That he would teach his sons idolatry. And indeed he did. The sons of Esau were very wicked. And still are. Still a very wicked people.
346.
Baruch Yahuwah, let me know when it's 355. 355. And so he recognized it. And here is another characteristic, discernment, of someone walking this ancient path. He discerned in Jacob that he would be the promised seed, that he would be the one to walk the ancient path, to continue walking the ancient path, whereby continuing the renewing of the covenant. Do you not understand that there had to be a chain of custody? There had to be a chain of custody carrying the renewal of the everlasting covenant until it came to Yahusha. There had to be a chain of custody through firstborn sons reaching him. And when it reached him, he renewed it once and for all with his sheddam. And so now it is fixed and established forever. But there had to be a chain of custody. There had to be someone willing to walk this ancient path, to walk in covenant with Yahuwah, to walk upright before him so that he could renew his covenant with them, and then renew his covenant with their firstborn son, and then renew his covenant with their firstborn son, and then renew his covenant with their firstborn son, until it reached Yahusha, the firstborn of Maryam and Jacob, so that the everlasting covenant could be renewed through a firstborn son once and for all. Baruch Yahuwah, there had to be a chain of custody. And so Abraham, he recognized Jacob's fruit and recognized that the chain of custody of the everlasting covenant and walking this ancient path was going to continue in him. Discernment. Discernment is another characteristic. Baruch Yahuwah. Verse 17. And he said unto her, my daughter. Let me read verse 16. And Abraham saw the deeds of Esau, and he knew that in Jacob should his name and seed be called. And he called Rebekah and gave commandment regarding Jacob. For he knew that she too loved Jacob much more than Esau. Again, chokmah and discernment are characteristics of someone walking this ancient path. Because if you have the Ruach of truth, who is the Ruach of chokmah, who is the Ruach of discernment, you cannot have his Ruach in you and not have chokmah and not have discernment. You cannot. You cannot. If you're not operating in chokmah and discernment, his Ruach is not in you. No, he isn't. No, he isn't. Verse 17. And he said unto her, my daughter, watch over my son, Jacob. Here he calls him his son. Yes, he does. He calls him his son. He is his son because he has now chosen Jacob as firstborn to carry on the legacy, to carry on the inheritance, to to carry on the chain of custody of the everlasting covenant. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he said unto her, my daughter, watch over my son Jacob, for he shall be in my stead. See? For he shall be in my stead. He shall continue the chain of custody of the everlasting covenant until perfection comes. Until perfection comes in the person of Yahushua HaMashiach, who is also seed of Abraham, who is also seed and a son of Abraham, and whom through the everlasting covenant has been renewed once and for all. And he said unto her, my daughter, watch over my son Jacob, for he shall be in my stead on the earth, and for a barakah in the midst of the children of men, and for the esteem of the whole seed of Shem, and for the esteem of the whole seed of Shem. Shem was who? Shem was the firstborn. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Shem was the firstborn of Ruach. I told you that was a chain of custody. Yes, it was, and yes, it is. That was a chain of custody beginning with Adam, who was the firstborn, who was the firstborn of all creation, who was the firstborn of mankind, rather. He was the firstborn, and he was given an inheritance, and an everlasting covenant was made with him. And that everlasting covenant and inheritance, there was a chain of custody from Adam down through his firstborn sons, arriving at Shem, arriving at Ruach, who was firstborn, and arriving at Shem, who was the firstborn of Ruach. And so the covenant is always renewed in firstborn. There's a chain of custody that is passed down through firstborn sons until it reached Yasha'al, who was his firstborn. It reached Yasha'al, and by extension, Yahushua HaMashiach, who came also as firstborn and who renewed the everlasting covenant once and for all. Verse 18. For I know that Yahuwah will choose him to be a people for a possession unto himself, above all peoples that are upon the face of the earth. And behold, Ishak my son loves Esau or Asa more than Jacob. But I see that you truly love Jacob. Add still further to your kindness to him, and let your eyes be upon him in love, for he shall be a barakah unto us on the earth from henceforth unto all generations of the earth. Let your hands be strong, and let your heart celebrate in your son Jacob, for I have loved him far beyond all my sons. He shall be Baruch forever, and his seed shall fill the whole earth. Yes, the firstborn. Only the firstborn is going to inherit. The inheritance only goes to firstborns. That's why there's only 12 gates that are going to lead to that city, to the renewed Jerusalem when it comes down. Only the firstborn is going to inherit. Only those who have the nature and character of their father, who talk like him, who walk like him, who look like him, who have the very same nature and character of their father. Only these are going to inherit. These and these alone. And he shall be Baruch forever, and his seed shall fill the whole earth. If a man can number the sand of the earth, his seed shall also be numbered. And all the barakah wherewith Yahuwah has Baruch me, and my seed shall belong to Jacob, and his seed forever. And his seed, and in his seed shall my name be Baruch, and the name of my fathers, Shem and Ruach, both firstborn sons. Both firstborn sons, where the chain of custody continued, whom the chain of custody continued through, of my father Shem and Ruach, and Kanuk, another firstborn son, and Mahalal, another firstborn son, and Anush, another firstborn son, and Shaph. Now Shaph was the thirdborn of Adam, but Shaph took the place. He carried on the legacy of firstborn after Habal was murdered, because it did not pass to Cain, because Cain, he acted like he followed his father, the wicked one, not according to the flesh, but in accordance with his heart. And so Habal would have received the firstborn barakah, the firstborn, as they say, blessing, the firstborn barakah, but it was instead given to self, a Shaph, because Habal was murdered. And this is why we find Shaph listed in the table of nations in Genesis the 10th chapter and not Cain, because Sheth is firstborn. Ashaf was counted as firstborn. And when you look in the table of nations, this is all that you will find of firstborn sons, those carrying the chain of custody of the everlasting covenant. This is why it will say, and Kanuk begot Methuselah. And then it goes on to say he had sons and daughters. It doesn't give their names. It says he had sons and daughters. It only gives the name of the firstborn, in which the chain of custody continued as firstborn, carrying the firstborn inheritance and the renewing of the everlasting covenant. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Oh, thank you, Abba. Thank you, Abba. I'm going to stop right here. I don't want to go over Abba's 9th hour. The 9th hour offering. I don't want to go over. Let me make a note of where I stopped. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Verse 24. So, Seth carried on the legacy of firstborn, and then down to Adam, who is firstborn, or who was firstborn. This is about legacy, chain of custody, carrying on the everlasting covenant that was made with mankind, that was made with Adam, mankind, on the very first day of creation on Shabua'u. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. So all of this chain of custody, I'm still talking. I'm going to stop here. But when we see this chain of custody here, all of our righteous fathers, all of them walked the ancient path. All of them had the very same nature and character and characteristics of our father, because they were firstborn. And again, the firstborn looks more like their father, talks more like him, and acts more like him than any of the rest of the children. Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah. So now we're approaching the 9th hour, Mashpaka. Show the characteristics of a firstborn. Show the characteristics of someone walking the ancient path, and bring your worship. Bring your praise. Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah. Kadush Hashem, Kadush Hashem, Shem Yahuwah, Shem Yahuwah. Kadush Hashem, Kadush Hashem, Shem Yahuwah, Shem Yahuwah. Kadush Hashem, Shem Yahuwah. Kadush Hashem, Kadush Hashem, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem, Shem Yahuwah. Baruch Hashem,
No good thing can I do without you, only by Baruch. No good thing can I do without you, only by Baruch. No good thing can I do without you, only by Baruch. Tuda, Tuda, Yahuwah. Tuda, Tuda, Yahuwah. No good seed can I sow without you, only by Baruch. No good seed can I sow without you, only by Baruch. No good seed can I sow without you, only by Baruch. Tuda, Tuda, Yahuwah. Tuda, Tuda, Yahuwah. No good fruit can I bear without you, only by Baruch. No good fruit can I bear without you, only by Baruch. No good fruit can I bear without you, only by Baruch. Tuda, Tuda, Yahuwah. Tuda, Tuda, Yahuwah. No good seed can I sow without you. You fill me with fruit of the root. You lead me by night and by day. Your Torah is light to my way. I love you, O Ancient of Days. I serve you and give you the praise. Tuda, Tuda, Yahuwah. Tuda, Tuda, Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah.
Praise him.
The sun, where to stand in the morning, and who told the ocean you can only come this far, and who showed the moon where to hide till evening, whose words alone can catch a falling star.
Oh, give me some.
And I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. Let all creation testify. Let this light within me cry. I know my Redeemer lives. Yeah. The very same Yahuwah who spins things in orbit. He runs to the weary, the worn and the weak, and the same gentle hand that holds me when I'm broken. They conquered death to bring me victory. And I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. All of creation testifies. This life within me cries. I know my Redeemer lives. Yeah, I know my Redeemer lives.
Thank you, Abba.
Ruach Yahuwah. Ruach Yahuwah.
Ruach Yahuwah.
Praise the name of Yahuwah. Oh, make me humble, Yahuwah, and save my wretched soul. Baruch Yahuwah.
Yes. Ruach Yahuwah. Ruach Yahuwah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, Yahuwah, 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 Yahuwah. I love you, I love you, I love you, Yahuwah, 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 Yahuwah. Tuda, 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 Yahuwah, Yahuwah, Yahuwah. Baruch Yahuwah.
Ruach Yahuwah.